Hey, it's Liam Killen, and today we're going to be taking a look at the PO-33, otherwise known as the PO K.O. I focused a lot on teenage engineering products like the OP1, the OPZ. I've dabbled a little bit with the Modular 400 as well. No videos on that one yet though. And they recently sent me the Rick and Morty model as well as the PO-33, so I figured that I would create with them as well. Here's the beat that we're going to be looking at today, my first beat on a pocket operator. This video also marks the beginning of the series. I'm an experienced producer and beatmaker, but I'm still a beginner with this guy. So the blocks and frustrations that I have are still very fresh, and my goal in this video is to prevent you from running into those same issues. So yes, this video is geared towards people who are beginning with the instrument. That being said though,
even though I'm a beginner with this instrument,
my workflow might just be a bit different from yours. So in any case, you might be able to take something away from this. We're gonna be keeping it nice and simple. I'm gonna show you how to program drums, how to upload your samples, pattern effects, and sequencing. Yeah, so let's get started. The first thing we'll start with is drums, and I'll explain how the whole system works. The reason why I'm starting with drums is because then you have that luxury of changing the tempo if you're not feeling it. Whereas if you start with the sample, it's a lot tougher to match the tempo with the drums. If you click on sound, you'll notice that you have a bunch of banks that are lit up, and the one that you're currently on is the one that's flashing. For now, we'll choose bank 5, which is the first drum bank. And then all of these 16 buttons are different drum sounds. Just being a bit of a perfectionist here and trying to keep the PO straight, but I'm realizing I don't think that's gonna happen, so we're gonna have to deal with it. Just FYI, the drums that I have uploaded here are not stock drum sounds, so we're probably working with different drums. So we'll start with the kick sound. I like this one. Now to program this note, you have to enter into write mode. So to do that, you simply press write. So now we could choose the beats that we want the kick to be on. I'm gonna keep it simple, something like that. Let's say you play back the pattern and you're not really feeling that tempo. Easy, you could change that. BPM, and then twist this knob here to change it. Right now I'm at 114 and I'm gonna stay there for now. There we go. It is a little bit fidgety, so you have to really pay attention to the tempo you're going to. Obviously, if you guys are having that same issue, I can relate. Another thing to take note of is that the last sound that you clicked on is the sound that you're writing. Okay, great, let's keep building. I'll audition a few sounds to get a vibe, and then we'll write them in. I like the sound of this hi-hat. There's a few things we could change about it though. So head to effects, and we're gonna add a filter onto it. Whoops, gotta act quick. Great, so that makes it a bit more subtle, kind of soften it up a little bit. Let's see what that sounds like. That's better. Let's program that into all of the upbeats. Bop, 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 bop. That should work. Okay, let's see what else we could add. I'll explain the other effects as well while I'm at it. TRI is trim, so if you want to trim that sample. TON is tone. So you could change the pitch. Oh, sorry. You could change the pitch there. I kind of like it higher pitched. Okay, and you could also change the volume. I want this to be a little bit quieter than the other hi-hat, so it's quite subtle. So I think it's there. Let's try this. If we head back into write mode, it would really seem that we're starting to run out of space in our drum beat. And if you're thinking what I was thinking yesterday, that these drum patterns are quite limited, I can relate. Thankfully, we're not so limited because we're able to start a clean slate on a new drum bank. So let's do that. Hold sound. Now we're on bank 5. I'm gonna head to bank 8 for now. So now it's flashing. And that's our whole new bank. There's one other thing that I wanna add, and I wanna vary it from one pattern to the next. And that's this snare drum right here. Once again, we're not as limited as you might think. And this brings us to the pattern button. So that's this one right here. If I click on it, you'll see that I'm on pattern 1, that's the flashing one. But there are 16 patterns in total that we could write in. Each pattern consists of 1 bar, so obviously if you want to create more than 1 bar, you have to create more than 1 pattern. In this case, it's quite easy to do. You actually have the option of copying 1 pattern over to the next. So let's do that. Make sure you're on the pattern that you want to copy. So in this case, it's pattern 1, the flashing one. I want to copy it to pattern 2, which is empty. So I'm holding pattern, right, and then just click 2, and there it is. Just for the hell of it, actually, let's copy that same pattern to 3 and 4. So once again, pattern, right, 3, 4. So now it's copied to all 4 of those. So this is great because now we have 4 times the variation that we had with just 1 bar. Let's head back to the only variant of this beat, so that's this snare drum right here. We'll head back to pattern 1 and we'll create a variation. Cool, where is that? Da, 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 da. That's it. Great. Same thing for pattern 2. Pattern 3. Great, we have our 4 variations and I'm happy with these drums. Let's move on to the next part, which is sampling. Like I said before, I've explored a lot of other teenage engineering products, including the OP1. I'll link some of those up there in the description as well. I figured it'd be the best way to work with the Pocket Operator. These two work together so well. You could upload samples from pretty much anything, from your computer, from other instruments. There's no limit there. But whatever it is that you're sampling from, just make sure that you're plugged in to this guy right here. All of the melodic samples in this track are from the OP1, so I'm just going to run through those for you. I think out of any instrument that I've seen so far, sampling into a Pocket Operator is the easiest. Once again, just make sure that you pay attention to the sample of your tempo. So in my case, everything is at 114 BPM. Make sure that it all matches up. So I'm going to go sound, bank 1, so that's an empty bank. Don't overwrite anything. To record, you just hold record and the bank that you want to record on, and then you press play. As you saw, I let go of everything when I wanted the recording to stop. And that's it. It's so easy, which makes sampling on the Pocket Operator
super fun.
Another intuitive thing, just like the OP1 actually, is that the recording only starts when the sample starts sounding. I've actually already uploaded the 2 other samples that I was using, so that's this one here. So now we could get rid of the OP1. I'll go back to melodic sample 1. And if you click on different keys, you get the same sample, but pitched differently and also at a different tempo. And 5 is the original pitch. And so just like the drums, we're going to be writing these samples in as well. Sample 1 is like the main riff, so let's get a feel for that. Let's write it in. We'll start it on the second 16th note there. We'll copy the same thing into pattern 2. So right. Okay, so that happens sometimes. One thing to take note of is that when you press right and you're in edit mode, that's when you could write things in. When you press it again, performance mode. So sometimes it's easy to get stuck in between those two, but yeah. Might as well write that into the third pattern as well, because we know we want it to be there. Right, edit, second 16th note, out of write mode. Great, so pattern 2, this is where we're going to add the second sound, sound 2. That's it, let's audition it. Okay, Okay, that might be a little bit loud, so I'm going to bring the volume down, tone, like so. Let's try this. Okay, great, that's better, right, and we want that on, I think it's this beat here. Could be wrong. We also want that in pattern 3. Let's go to pattern 3, right, beat 3. And then we have the last sample, which is sound 3. We only want that to be in pattern 3. So we're on pattern 3. Let's audition it. In the original, I wrote this on beat 1, but let's change that up. Let's try it on beat 2. See what happens. I think that's a little bit loud, so we'll unwrite it, we'll erase it. Effects, tone, let's try it again. Let's try it on the end of 1. Let's try this. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but an element of the track actually just dropped out. So I feel like this just might be too much for the pocket operator, in which case we're gonna drop the second sound in pattern 3. So obviously there are some limits to the pocket operator. There's only a certain amount of tracks that you could add to it. So you might have to sacrifice certain things here and there, which might help your creativity. I can relate. To recap our 4 patterns, we have the original. We have the original with the extra boom bass note. We have the added melody over top. And then we have just drums. Next, let's see what we could do with these patterns in a live performance. Playing from one pattern to the next in a live performance is super easy. You literally just have to click from one pattern to the next. This will be my sequence. Pattern 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so same thing. What if you want each of those patterns to play twice though? So once again, hold pattern 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Let's try that. So you kind of catch my drift here. You see how easy it is, and this is how you'd make a full track on the PO. And the last thing I'll show you is adding live effects to your tracks. So press play, hold the effects button, and so I think we're done here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Teenage Engineering has sent me a bunch of new gear, so it's going to be occupying my content, I think, for the next while. This is my first pocket operator beat. Definitely not my last, but yeah, just really opened things up. It works really well with other Teenage Engineering products like the OP1 or the OPZ or things like that. I also want to try it with the Modular 400, but that's a whole other ball game. We'll get into that when we get into that. If you guys are having any issues, I could relate. Just let me know if you have any questions. Let me know in the comments. Also, I have a new EP coming out called the Curious EP. It's out April 7th. I'm super proud of it. It's been a pleasure. Like and subscribe. Give me that love, and I'll see you guys in the next video.